Talk about the 28 greatest tag teams in wrestling history.
We'll talk about that. 1 and 2.
Third
Check.
Check.
Yeah, I got you. I'm with you. What's up, everybody? Welcome to Third Thoughts. My name is Clay. I am here with the Chief himself. Somebody needs to shut that door over there in case somebody walks in. Thank you so much.
Just a random person.
We have the live studio audience with us. Welcome, everybody. Clap or something so they can hear you. Woo! Hey, welcome to the podcast. If you are listening, we appreciate you. If you're listening live, we appreciate you even more. Don't tell the people that are listening later. But if you're listening later, we also appreciate you.
Just a little less.
Just a little bit less, because then you can't interact with us. You can't talk to us. You can't get this as it comes out live on Spreaker.com. This is Third Thoughts. We're back. I feel like
it's like eating the Doritos right after you open the bag,
Yep.
as opposed to the next day.
Yep.
Hey, I got this cool thing
Okay.
in one of my survival crate subscriptions.
Yeah.
Wait a minute, you
And
didn't
it
tell
is-
us that's hardcore. That's
And
taking
it
it
is
beyond the.
And it is a bag resealer.
Uh-huh.
So you just take this thing, you put the bag in it, and you slide it down, and it reseals the chip bag
Oh, wow.
to keep freshness.
That is pretty cool. I've seen those.
Yeah, it is.
That's
pretty
better
cool.
than the clip.
Oh yeah,
The clip is kind of trash.
yeah, it's much better, and it makes you feel like, oh, I'm high tech.
Because I zipped this.
Yes, I melted this together with this little plastic thing.
Well, welcome back, Chief.
It's good to be back.
You were on vacation last week.
Yep,
And before that,
pneumonia,
you were sick.
pneumonic.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So what have you learned? How do you feel? Do you feel like you've been through something? Because it was pretty extensive. I mean, you were sick for several weeks.
Yeah, I actually thought I might die at one point.
Really?
Yeah,
Like, for real?
yeah. We had a night of worship,
Uh-huh.
and I left early, and I went home.
I remember.
And I sat down on the couch. Maybe you call me. Did you call me after night of worship, or was it the next day?
I think you called me.
Yeah, well, sometime that night, I went home. I sat down on the couch, and then I knew I was at home,
Yeah.
but I couldn't figure out how to get to my bedroom. I was just like disoriented so bad.
Jeez.
Yeah, so I just closed my eyes, woke up, went to the doctor the next day, said, "Yep, pneumonia. My oxygen level was really low." So yeah, but I'm 100% now.
Okay. That's good. I'm glad.
Yeah, I mean as 100 as I can be.
There's only one way to be 100, I guess.
And that's to give 110%. The only way to be 100 is to give 110%.
The math works out, boss. Don't look like that.
What? Whatever.
We're here with Randy as well. If you're just joining, I don't know why you'd be just tuning in. If you haven't tuned in since Randy joined the podcast, you're adding extra flavor for us, and we appreciate that. We don't have Madison today, though.
Where'd Madison go?
I sent her to get me some lunch.
What? We offered to get you lunch.
I wasn't hungry then.
He's hungry now.
You can't. You only eat when you're hungry.
Listen, Boz got one roast beef sandwich at Arby's.
Yeah.
No fries.
And
No
water.
drink.
Water. It's $3.42.
It was just a roast beef sandwich with nothing on it.
What?
Yeah.
What? That's all you ever eat at one time. You ate like half of one last time we went,
The half pound. Did you get the half pound?
but you ate like a half of the half pound.
That's a quarter pound.
Right. So that's about what I had probably, and I paid a lot less for it.
Okay.
My wife's put me on spending restriction.
Oh, geez.
No, she didn't.
Calling her out.
Yeah. Now I
Now
think
the
she
truth's
called
out
him
there.
out.
She's gonna start driving me to work soon too.
Oh, God.
Oh, save gas.
Yeah, don't
Last
ever
time.
let us know that.
Okay.
Look, so okay, here's the thing about today. The news, we're here at Third Thoughts. We're completely dependent on the news cycle, right? For the most part. So if it's down, there's not much we can do about that. We can't create news. So I don't have a whole lot of news today, but we were talking about something earlier, and we thought it would be good to talk about it live on the show.
Yeah, but I want to talk about this first.
Do you have some news?
I've got some news. Yeah.
Okay. Well,
Yeah,
if you've got news, I have something we could talk about, but
I just saw this.
okay, breaking.
I don't know if it's breaking news, but I mean, I just saw it.
This is breaking to you.
You know, we're starting to see the fallout from the Parkland high school shooting.
Yeah.
As far as people they're holding responsible besides the shooter for not stopping him. Mm-hmm. Well, evidently today, 2 Parkland baseball coaches who didn't confront him were fired today because they did not confront the shooter because they were security monitors. They were like hall monitors checking hall passes, and they didn't confront him, so they got fired today because they didn't confront him. I mean, I don't know when you sign up to be a baseball coach if the fine print says stop someone with an AR-15.
What was their job description? Was it in there? Did it say?
No, I
As
mean
a security monitor. What was that?
But I mean, here's the thing. You know, I mean, I like to say that I would have done something. And they probably should have done something.
Yeah.
But nobody knows. Now, first of all, that police officer that stood outside should be fired.
Yes, for sure.
Yeah. I mean, that's his job.
That's his job. That's his job.
Yeah, yeah.
I mean, you know, like these guys' job to coach baseball.
Yeah, he's
Right.
armed as well.
Yeah, and he's armed.
Armed.
And he stood outside the building, you know, while people were getting gunned down.
Yeah, that's ridiculous.
Yeah. So, you know, I don't know about these guys getting fired over it. You know, maybe if they didn't, and I didn't read the whole article because I just saw it, but maybe they didn't follow proper protocol. Mm-hmm. You know, maybe they should have done something else, but it says they got fired because they didn't confront him. So I just think we're starting to see, you know, the beginning of this. But here's what this may set the precedent for.
Okay.
Something that our president has said.
Okay.
Hey, let's arm some teachers in the school to help stop these things. So if you're going to fire people for not confronting them, don't we have to equip them to actually confront these school shooters?
Sure. Well, I mean, you know, I think even the most heroic, even the most noble of person, you don't want to confront somebody who has a weapon without a weapon. I mean, it's a lot harder
I mean, the dudes
to work
on the
up the
train
courage
did.
to do that.
What was the movie? The movie with the guys on the train in France.
Something to 7 to
Yeah.
Paris.
Yeah,
From
but weren't-
5:15 to Paris,
but
5:17
weren't they
to Paris.
soldiers?
Yeah,
they
but
were
they still didn't
soldiers,
have
yeah.
a gun.
Yeah.
These guys were security
Okay,
monitors.
but if you're just but they're coaches, right?
Yeah.
They're baseball coaches, right?
baseball bat.
Yeah, they're baseball coaches, but I mean, I played a lot of baseball. I played college baseball, and I don't ever remember like dealing with a live firearm on the field. I don't remember where that
That's
came
what I'm
into
saying.
my
Like
training at any
those
point.
those guys in France were soldiers. I mean, they're trained for that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
weapon or not.
Right, yeah.
A baseball coach. I mean,
Oh, you're saying that maybe a baseball coach shouldn't have.
no. What I'm saying is it's hard to confront a shooter if you have no weapon. Like it's
Yeah,
hard.
they-
It's hard for you to blame somebody if they're not armed. Like it's
Right.
like-
Those guys did confront this person.
yeah.
They were soldiers. They were equipped. I mean, somewhat equipped for that scenario. But it's also bred into you at that point because they were still actively in the military. You know, so they're not removed from the military. They haven't been. You know, those guys on the train.
Yeah, in France.
You know, they in France, but they were American soldiers.
Yeah.
They had not been desensitized to combat, so they're still on the ready, amped up, and it's been bred into them and trained into them that you don't run away from the sound, you run towards the sound.
That was pre-Trump, right?
I
think so, because Trump would never let American soldiers help another country.
don't
Yeah,
know
I don't know.
that's relevant.
But yeah, I mean, that's if that story went down the way the movie portrays it, those guys were heroes.
Yes. What I'm saying is for the
Yeah.
average person, it's hard to expect the average person, such as these baseball coaches, to be heroic and confront somebody when they're not trained
like
to
the
do
guy at the
so
church,
and they're not equipped to do
like
so.
the guy at the church shooting in Texas.
Yeah.
You know, the guy comes out of the church and he pops off a round or two with his high-powered rifle.
Yeah.
I don't know if he would have run over there and thrown rocks at the guy had he not had a rifle.
Sure.
You know, that's a whole, you know,
Different mentality.
mindset, different
Yeah.
mentality. So, yeah. But yeah, I just saw that and I just thought that, wow, you know, this may, you know, overreach just them losing their jobs and maybe begin to set a precedent for some things.
Yeah.
How can we hold people accountable for something if we're not equipping them?
Sure.
Right.
To meet that need.
Yeah, they're not equipped. I agree with that.
Yeah,
I don't think
no.
it should be fired. I think you should have. I wouldn't put it on teachers. I would hire security monitors, like not as a baseball coach and a security.
Well,
monitor.
We call them school resource officers.
resource
is what we
officer.
call
but
them.
But school resource officer is an actual police officer, right?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
So
You may need to
hey,
up
I wouldn't,
that.
dude. To me, you got
But I think what will happen is if that's where you leave it, what's ultimately going to happen is police forces will start hiring people not as officers, but they will start hiring them on the basis of being school resource officers, paying them less, not training them as well, and we're going to end up with mall cops in our schools, and we're still going to have a huge problem.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
Yeah.
If you just add to the size of the force, and part of your responsibility, part of your shift is that you rotate through the school,
Sure.
every so often, so they're actually active officers in
Right.
harm's way.
That's a pretty good idea. Because
Yeah.
I mean, you can't. And I feel like I don't know that you can put it on teachers. I mean, it's just
No, that's too much.
they don't get paid enough for that.
No, teachers are already underpaid.
Yeah, I don't know.
But I think if you give them the option to carry a weapon,
Yeah, if they want to.
But the
because right now they don't
problem-
have the option to.
Right.
Right
Yeah,
now
I'm
they
with you.
can't.
I'm
The
with
problem
you.
is, can they shoot? I mean, it's no good if they can't shoot and something's 7 feet away and you're missing
7
the
yards
target.
and you're
7
missing the
yards.
target.
I
Yeah,
mean,
right. Yeah.
That's
Yep.
trash.
Yeah, correct. But the advantage you have though in a school is if this shooter is engaged in a hallway. You have a long straight hallway surrounded by every school I've ever been in.
Lockers.
Lockers, and I'm talking concrete block walls.
Yeah.
If you're shooting and you're not hitting, at least you're making the shooter duck.
Right. Get them
Y-
shotguns. They can't miss. Legit.
Well, yeah, but you don't want them
you
firing
might
those
hit
into
other
a
things,
crowded.
too.
You don't want them firing into a crowded, lunchroom
shotgun.
per se. So, but yes, I mean, there's a lot of things. But I just saw that and I thought, wow, this may, how can you hold somebody accountable for something you haven't equipped them to do?
Yeah.
That's tough. Other than guys, should you have done something? Yes. They probably should have done something.
Well, it's easy to say that when you're not the coach.
And
You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it's easy for us to say,
And
well, you're the coach, you should have done, but it's like, well.
yeah, and I also think it's easy to say because it's on the heels of the other shooting where, the teacher actually intentionally was shot to save his students.
Yeah.
You know what I'm talking about? I don't remember where that was, but he put himself in harm's way,
Yep.
took a bullet so other students, and he took, the person down. So, it's easy then to say, well, you should have done that too, so we're going to fire you. But did they hire them based on the heroism that can't be measured in someone outside of the lines of fire?
Right.
I don't know. Can you fire a teacher because they're not
Heroic.
heroic?
I mean, it's just it's like you said, there's no way to measure that
Yeah.
until
yeah.
someone's in a situation.
Yeah. So I don't know. But anyway, I saw that. So now we can move on to whatever it was you wanted to talk about.
Well, we were talking about earlier. You were talking about, I can't remember what frame we were using. We were talking about politics, but it was
Younger people.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Shifting.
Yeah. We were talking about, and I wish I had it pulled up. We were talking about the Senate race in New York. Can you find the guy's name so I don't sound completely stupid? Everybody knows
His
I don't
name
know
is
his
Corey.
name. Corey.
That's his last name.
His last name's Corey. Anyway, the
Crowley.
Crowley. Yeah,
God,
yeah.
shit.
Joseph Crowley. Okay, yeah. Now I remember his name. Okay, Joseph
Say her name too.
Joseph Crowley was supposed to be the heir apparent to Nancy Pelosi. He was supposed to be, kind of the push for the Democratic leadership. He's running in New York, and he got beat yesterday.
yeah,
But he got beat by a self-described. This is not a Republican. Everybody knows I'm a conservative. I mean, that's no surprise.
Right.
If this is your first time listening to the podcast, let me go ahead and tell you so you don't have to spend time figuring it out. I'm an uber conservative. Okay. This is not a conservative labeling her this way. She labels herself a socialist Democrat.
Yes.
28 years old. So this 28-year-old socialist Democrat has unseated Joseph Crowley, which has thrown the Democratic Party's leadership plan into a tailspin because now they don't really have anybody to go to. But what that talked about was we talked about this whole ideology of, what is happening in politics. Because the Democratic Party seems to be fractured, the Republican Party seems to be fractured. Moderates are moving towards each other, and the political parties are becoming very fragmented and moving away from each other to the point where it's more polar than it's ever been.
Yep.
Yeah, for sure.
But I kind of look at it, and I think more than a political thing that's happening, I don't know that this is necessarily a moderate rebellion. I don't know if it's an extremist revolution more than it is a generational revolution. I mean, you've got this 28-year-old who seems to be able to identify with millennials. See, here's the thing about this is we're really getting into the first election where millennials are really making a difference.
Well, they're the largest voting bloc now.
Yeah, they're really able to make a difference now, and nobody can really figure out this group of people.
Yeah.
So, and we also know this for a fact, that with each generation, that generation wants to separate themselves from their parents.
Yep. Definitely.
We don't want to do church like our parents did. We don't want to have school like our parents had school. We don't want to farm like our parents farmed. We don't want to drive the cars our parents drove. So on and so forth. So we distance ourselves from those things. And it's happening in politics. So anything that's seen as the government machine, the way things always have, I think Trump calls it the swamp. Anything that these lifelong politicians, this new millennial voting bloc seems to be moving away from that towards people who have never served in politics before.
Yeah.
And that's kind of this whole revolution that we're seeing now is we're seeing young people. We're seeing people with there's no way to deny. The reason Trump was elected president is because he was not part of the machine. That people voted against Hillary Clinton and the machine.
Yep.
That's what happened, and Donald Trump just happened to be the only other name on the ticket. And that's what happened because we don't want more of what we've always had, because what we've always had has led to nothing.
Yeah.
Nothing. We're bogged down in bureaucracy. It takes forever. It takes a president. They spend the first 4 years trying to get reelected for the second 4 years, and in the second 4 years they achieve one thing.
Yep. And then they're done.
Yeah. And people are tired of that. We kind of see that here. I've heard so many people make this statement here in Georgia. And not only in Georgia, but we live in the hometown of one of the candidates for governor.
Right.
I mean, Casey Cagle is from our hometown. And I've talked to so many people who say, I don't think I'm voting for Casey. And I say, why? Because I want to know why.
Sure.
And they say, well, I'm just ready for a change.
Yeah.
I'm just ready for a change. Our current governor's from Gainesville.
Yep.
Right here in our hometown. And they think they're going to get more of the same. So they just say, we're just ready for a change. Now, listen, here's the thing. The guy that's running against him,
Same guy.
different name.
Same policies, same ideals.
They're both, listen, and here's the thing that I saw a commercial last night. And they were arguing about who was the bigger Trump supporter.
I got to get...
Hey, the choices are stacked, Bob.
Choices are stacked. Or you have Bernie Sanders liberal on the other side.
Right.
It's a polarization. You're right. I mean, it's just...
But the thing is, they're the same guy, but I'm ready for a change.
Yep.
All we're doing is changing the name. In this particular instance, you're just changing the name, but people are just ready for change. They just
Why do you
want
think that
something
is?
different.
I mean, we just get restless.
I think our
Or
country.
bored?
Yeah, I think our country's just stagnant.
We just get bored, I think.
I mean, how long do major empires normally run without a major revolution?
Do you have a number? Are we supposed to guess a number?
I'm just wondering if you guys know.
It's like 200 years, yeah.
200 years. I mean, that sounds right to me. I mean, I've always heard that, but I don't have any, I don't have any empirical evidence. Is that the right use of that word?
Empirical. Yeah, empirical.
Yeah. I don't have any, I don't have any proof.
Like, it's almost like imperial.
Yeah, I don't have
empire.
I don't have any evidence to that, but I have a hunch. I have some ideology that says that. And I think we're maybe seeing a revolution. I think it started back with the Trump election, and it carries on. And I believe it's not as much about politics with the younger voting bloc as it is just something different, man. We just want something different.
See, to me, every day that something because the current administration is in the news every single day. And every day it gets more and more ridiculous. And I just see us getting closer and closer to a Kanye West administration being possible.
Oh, no. Listen, I'm going to tell you right now that we're closer to that being possible than ever before.
Yeah, and and it's funny because the same thing happened with Trump. It started out as like a joke. People are like, "Oh, there's no way. This is ridiculous. Like, why would he even run? Like, he's just doing it for the publicity." And then it ended up working out. Like, I think that's the roller coaster we're on now.
Yeah, I mean, I think that it's very possible that we have seen our last non-celebrity president with Barack Obama.
I mean, what do you think? I think so.
I don't know. I think calmer heads are going to prevail.
What calmer heads?
I don't know that there are enough of them.
Yeah. I mean,
like you just said, the largest voting bloc.
It is.
I mean,
It's
millennials aren't calm.
Yeah, but the good news is only 50% of the millennials voted, and still.
Okay, but let's say Trump goes to 2024. Mm-hmm. I mean, by then you're losing a lot of older voters.
You're going to lose.
That's like 6 more years.
And here's what's happening: you are seeing a lot of people who have followed politics the way I follow college football. They're just fans of politics.
Yeah.
They go to the restaurant, they get up early in the mornings, they go and, they sit at the table with all their buddies and, they talk about how their wives can't cook and they talk about politics. Mm-hmm. Those guys are becoming so divested from the process because it's so chaotic right now. They're not talking about politics anymore. They're having to find something else to talk about.
Yeah.
They're just becoming disinterested because it's not the political game. It would be like me moving to Canada and them expecting me to sit around and watch the CFL. I'm not going to do that. It's a different game. Looks the same, but it's a different game.
Yeah.
And that's what's happening, I think, with some of our older voting bloc is it's a different game now. So they're becoming disinterested.
They're educated. That's the thing. These people are educated. Now things have become so polarized. And on top of that, people are much less educated. If you listen to the conversations, I mean, the amount of fake news stuff.
Oh yeah,
that you see. There's one going around right now that saying that Mexico has a wall with Guatemala, and so why can't we have a wall?
Okay, well, it's not there.
Yeah, I know. Well, yeah, but it's just funny because people post this stuff and they believe it to be true.
Oh yeah.
I mean, it's people are becoming less educated, and then you can't have a conversation because it's polarized. And when you try to talk to somebody, it's just
No, I mean, it's obvious that that it's less about education and fact and more about ideology.
Yes,
that's where we're at.
You think?
We're back to people actually promoting and believing flat Earth.
Yeah. I think
we got pictures from space of it being round.
Oh yeah, but those could be fake, bro.
There's a car that parks in another church near here, and they have a sticker that says "Flat Earth" on the back of their car.
And what's weird about that is I don't know that it's even so much ideology as it is entertainment.
I think those things go hand in hand now.
Well, it's more like
reality TV did that too.
I mean, Flat Earth is more of a meme. Like, does anybody really take it serious? But like, if you believe it, quote unquote, you believe in a flat Earth, like you. You constantly tell people about it. You always get into a discussion
You're
about
evangelizing for it.
Kind of, yeah.
Yeah, but the same people that are talking about flat Earth are the same people that are talking about politics.
Yep.
Yeah.
They're doing the same thing. Kyrie Irving is saying, "Oh man, the Earth's flat. The Earth's flat. The Earth's flat. The Earth's flat." And then these same guys, not educated in politics, don't understand politics. They're the ones out there promoting, their guy or their gal to be the best candidate, and they have this huge audience, this huge microphone. Mm-hmm. These people that are paying for telephone ads, for television ads, they need to get back into the 21st century. And what they need to do is go find a millennial group that will promote them on social media and talk them up on social media. And it doesn't even have to be real what these people are saying.
Right. I think accessibility has done that. You're talking about reality TV changing, kind of shifting that.
Let me tell you a reality show that I would watch. Go put a camera crew in the White House. I'd watch that junk.
We're already watching it.
No, I mean, I'm talking about, like behind the scenes.
Like if it was like The Office style documentary.
Yes.
But it's just about the Trump administration.
The ratings would be through the roof.
Oh, yeah.
I'd watch it. I don't even watch stuff like that, but I would watch it.
If they did like just cameras 24 hours a day.
Just like a feed, just a stream?
Yeah, I would keep it pulled up on a tab on my laptop.
I mean, politics, going down this trail we're on, politics has lost its civility for sure.
Yes.
Huckabee Sanders, did you hear about this, how she got kicked out of the restaurant?
Yeah.
They said, we're not serving people.
Oh, yeah, I saw that.
What's the purpose in that? I mean, I don't understand that. You're not going to change her views. You're not
Maxine Waters. It's Maxine Waters. She said, listen, let's harass these people. Let's don't let them eat. Let's don't let them go to the movies. Let's don't let them do anything. Let's harass the Trump campaign people. Bro.
Just because you disagree.
That's mob rule.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. It's not.
I mean, it's happening on liberal university campuses. Some of the most liberal universities in America are rioting and just going crazy towards people that are conservative at all.
Yeah, Berkeley.
Yeah.
I mean Berkeley. Listen, they were having a Republican. The campus Republicans were meeting, and somebody came and urinated in the middle of the meeting.
Oh my gosh. I mean, okay, I don't identify left or right, really. I try my best to not. But even with people I disagree with, like, I'm not going to go riot over anything.
Okay, I do identify definitely conservative. But just because the person is conservative doesn't mean I agree with everything they do. And that's the way politics used to be.
Sure. You just leaned one way or the other. Now it's like you have to be red if you're going to be red, and you got to be blue if you're going to be blue.
Back to Crowley, the woman he lost to, like you said, he's an old school Democrat.
Yes.
The New Democrats back when he first started, but now he has slightly started to become more socialist or towards those leanings. The problem for him and the problem for people like Biden, who did the same thing, he used to be more of a moderate Democrat. The problem for him when he runs, if he runs in 2020, even though he's more progressive now, he's going to have an issue because he has that voting history. Yes. And then you got to think also beyond the millennials, the post-millennials, the Parkland generation, the people that are protesting. What are they going to do? They're even more liberal than... I mean, millennials, the information tells us that 37% of millennials actually voted for Trump. Mm-hmm. And 55% for Clinton. Obama, it was 60%, and Romney would have been 55% as well. Then you look at the numbers, and it's probably not statistically significant enough, but some people make an issue of the fact that 41% of white millennials voted for Trump. They want to bring in the whole race issue, the whole economic issue, that white people feel disempowered. And
because that's where we are right now.
Yeah, we're so just...
Everything has to be about some kind of divide.
Yes.
Yeah.
Here's something positive that I've seen, though, is... not Franklin. What's the other Graham boy's name? Jack Graham, pastors down in Texas.
Yeah.
Okay. Ivanka, that's not the wife, right? That's the daughter.
Yeah.
Ivanka gave $50,000 to Jack Graham's church. Did you guys see this? Because what they're doing is they think they have a solution to the horrific problems for all of these children
at the border.
Yeah. So they have started a ministry. So they've got her $50,000, and they've got the 20-something thousand They've raised 20-something more $1,000. So they're ministering. They're giving some comfort. They're bringing blankets. They're bringing cots. They're doing these things.
Yeah.
They're doing something. Here's the problem I have with today's politics. Nobody is doing anything.
They just talk.
Everybody wants to talk about what's wrong. Everybody wants to scream and yell about what's wrong, but nobody wants to fix what's wrong with action. We are a child support generation.
Yeah.
We have become a child support civilization.
Yeah.
We write a check, but we don't want to raise the kids.
Yep.
We'll write a check, but somebody else raised the kids. You know what? It's time to roll up your sleeves and go do something about it. Instead of screaming about how wrong Trump is, go down there and buy a blanket and drive it down there and deliver it to some of these kids if you really have a problem with it. But you don't really have a problem because you're living out this reality TV fantasy in your head where you think you're a celebrity and that you're an expert.
Yeah.
You're not an expert.
And that's coming back to what I was saying about accessibility.
Well, I got fired up there. Then I got in preacher voice.
Yeah, but I mean that's the thing. It's so accessible. Anybody can have a Twitter account.
Yeah.
Anybody can have a Facebook account.
Anybody can have an Instagram account.
Anybody can have a blog.
I mean,
And
if you
that's-
want a real Instagram entertainment that's non-political and set aside from that, just go to
Here comes the plug.
StewartFamily.farm. That's some real entertainment there.
can't watch goats.
Are we going to have
StewartFamily.farm.
to start charging him for those plugs?
I mean,
I don't charge you to be on here, and I'm why people listen to this.
so humble. That's the thing about it. Yeah, you can watch some good goat combat on your Instagram.
That's right. That's right. He thought they were friends.
But they were not.
They were not friends. But yeah, I mean, back to this whole thing. I've never seen our country more divided, but I have seen this before.
Okay.
I see it on television every time they show these third world countries where half the streets throwing rocks holding one sign, the other half of the streets throwing rocks holding the other sign. We have devolved. Our political system has devolved into a third world country. And all of the structure and support that's around it will begin to devolve too if we don't reach some kind of civilized behavior towards one another.
Yeah.
The moment you say, hey, let's punish the president of the United States. Let's harass his family. Let's because I have a little platform here, let me just go on social media and say what we need to do is rip the president's 12-year-old son out of his mother's arms and lock him in a cage with pedophiles. If that's how we want to punish the person who is, listen, Donald Trump did not become president because he needed the money.
Right.
He was just as famous before he was president as he is now. You may not agree with what he's doing, but by gosh, he's doing it. He's not sitting in his living room behind a keyboard spewing out ideological things that could never work. He's trying it. He's out there doing it.
Yeah.
So let's punish somebody that's willing to step down from their multi-billion-dollar life to try to do something for our country, wrong or right. And he's got some things right. He's got some things very wrong.
Yeah.
But at least he's trying it. At least he's doing something. You don't punish people for that. You get behind them and say, listen, man, I don't think you got that right. But hey, I do believe we can do it right. If I come alongside the solution and I lead up, maybe we can change these things. Maybe if we know this whole what do they call it? Caravan of people coming towards the border.
Yep.
Instead of sitting there and waiting to see what the president does, what if we would have packed up some school buses with some mattresses and some food and some tents, and we went down and met them on the other side of the border?
Yeah.
And we treated them like people on the other side of the border. And some of these demons in three-piece suits in these high-powered law firms that want to sue people over spilling coffee on their lap when they shouldn't be drinking coffee driving down the road anyway. Because if you can't drive and drink out of a cup, should you even have a license?
Probably not.
and go down there and work these people through the immigration system and be a human being instead of just out for $1 more.
Right. Well, that's the thing. I mean, it's so much more profitable to just fuel the chaos and run the stories.
Clay did this to me on purpose. He knew this was going to get me fired up and all tied up in the knots, and that's why he started this.
Well, it's not my fault. The news cycle is slow. So I
mean, this is the news. This is dominating.
But this is what's happening.
Yes, everything is political right now.
Yeah,
Yes,
yeah.
and it's all...
That's the thing about Third Thoughts. I wanted it to be lighter than that. But some days, it's literally...
Dude,
there
this
aren't
is-
any goofy stories. It's all about
Yeah.
what's going on in politics, and you can't get away from it.
Yeah, I mean, we could talk about the guy that jumped off the airplane naked on the runway in Atlanta.
That's
But I mean-
ridiculous.
Yeah, but I mean, but what's... There's some serious issues.
Yeah.
You know,
there are.
Yeah, I mean,
There are.
people are getting shot in schools.
Yep.
Let's face it. If a 16-year-old, if a 15-year-old is going into a school, shooting the school up, he did not obtain that firearm legally.
Right.
So we're going to
'Cause you
take
can't.
guns away from everybody else,
Yeah.
right? I mean, for every Las Vegas shooter, there are a lot of citizens who stand up and stop things like that from happening.
And then you have these people who carry weapons and drop them in IKEA couches. Did you guys hear about this?
No, but this sounds a little lighter, so lighten
It's a
me
little
up.
bit lighter. At an Indiana IKEA, a shopper's handgun slipped into a couch where it was found by a 6-year-old who fired a round off.
What?
Yep. Let's see.
Was he breakdancing like the FBI officer?
No, but he obviously wasn't taking care of his weapon. A man sat down on one of the showroom's many display couches, not realizing when he got up, his loaded firearm had slipped from his person.
Okay, that's different. It sounded a little bit worse the first way you... I mean, it's still bad.
Oh, well, I mean, it's just negligence.
Yeah.
It's just like you didn't notice.
Dude, how do you not know your
Exactly.
gun slipped out of your pants?
If you're carrying a loaded weapon, there's some weight in that weapon.
It
Yeah.
could be a larger person.
Well, you still would. I mean, surely you would notice.
Listen,
come on, man.
I've been to IKEA and I have sat on the furniture, and if you're much bigger than me, you will crush it.
IKEA furniture's not made for Americans.
So this
That's European
So
furniture
listen,
right
and
there.
I know when I've got my gun and when I don't.
IKEA furniture's not for Americans, is it?
No, no.
No one was hurt though. The boy fired one round.
Pooped himself.
Then the gun's owner identified himself after hearing the noise and is reportedly cooperating with authorities. I mean, but it's kind of like that FBI agent. It's just negligence. It's just like,
Yeah.
I mean, the reason I bring it up, well, I mean, I had it pulled up because it's kind of humorous, especially because no one was hurt. But it kind of comes back to, you're talking about the kid getting the weapon and shooting up the school. Somebody made it possible for him to get the weapon.
Yep.
Either through negligence, and he acquired the weapon because someone left it and it was accessible, or someone gave it to him or sold it to him.
Right.
I mean, that's just a lack of care on somebody's part. Somebody's not paying attention. Or a lot of these things could have been stopped, I think. But it's people not paying attention. So,
I mean, and you can trace that back in some ways to how easy it is to get a gun. I think that causes us not to pay as much attention as we could. Because if it
Perhaps.
was a much more rigorous process, for example, in Great Britain, the UK, the driving test, here, what is the driving test? You go to a parking lot. At least, I'm old now, so 22 years ago, went to the driving, what do you call it?
DMV.
DMV.
That's what you called it then. That's what you call it now.
Yeah, went to the DMV.
is it not DMV now?
Some other stupid thing.
It's a machine at Kroger that spits out my tag now. But, like, I went to the DMV. I rolled around the parking lot. I didn't have to parallel park. I pulled between some cones. There
Yep.
were no other cars in the park. And I passed my test. In the UK, it's a 45-minute road test. And there's like a 30-minute computer test. I failed the computer test the first time. I consider myself somewhat intelligent. I failed the computer test.
I mean, they do drive on the other side of the road.
Yeah, but I had to take driving lessons. There's
Yeah.
a 50% fail rate for the road test.
Wow.
50%. I passed it, and the guy was surprised. He was like, oh, as an American, he was very surprised that I passed it. I mean, you have to parallel park. You have to do a 3-point turn. You do all this stuff that we don't do here.
From the wrong side.
From the wrong side of the road, but it's much more rigorous.
And the wrong side of the vehicle.
And you pay attention more when you drive. There's a lot less wrecks there. The parallel I'm trying to make is that if there were just a little bit, I'm not talking about going crazy. I'm not one of these nuts that thinks we need to ban guns and all that kind of stuff, but we need to take care of them better. In the UK, you can't. To get a gun is insane.
Well, and that's the thing too. Like even this.
But okay, but because of the way it was in the UK, that's why we have the right to bear arms.
Yeah, but that's different than where we're at today. We're not trying to form a militia.
I might be.
Well, you could. I'm not. I'm not the one getting
Depends on how this craziness is going.
I'm not getting survival barrels and stuff for my backyard.
Well,
They're not all in my backyard.
You don't want to walk that far in case of the apocalypse, do you?
No, I'm saying they're scattered.
How much
You
money
can't put
do you,
all your eggs in one crate.
do you have physical money buried in your yard?
No, because I don't have any extra.
There's no extra cash to put in a coffee can.
Vacation!
Right.
Speaking of vacation, Shane, our studio audience has taken 10.
I figure if I spend enough time in the Caribbean, the chances of something going bad where I'm somewhere else I had just as soon be, I would be okay.
So you're okay if the apocalypse starts and you're in the Caribbean, that's good with you.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Okay, well, here's the reason. They're prepared for it already. They're already living prepared for it. That's what scares me about the end of the world, is not that I don't think I can survive. It's that all the other dummies around me that live completely dependent upon technology, they're going to rot and spoil my water and stink and all that stuff. Cause disease.
Oh, we would be so, yeah.
Dude.
We'd be in so much trouble.
Yeah, it would be insane. I mean, we freak out when the internet goes down.
I didn't have power for 2 days.
Is it back up?
Yeah,
It was never down today.
It was. I couldn't send an email.
Well, I didn't have any problems. But I mean, it's been like twice. We've had thunderstorms and knocked it out at home.
Yeah.
We were going
Didn't you
nuts.
call the power or the internet company one time and tell them something about elderly people? Tell the
Okay,
story.
so
Go ahead.
Tell this story.
Speaking of being dependent, so not where I live now, but where I lived previously with my parents, my grandmother lived right in front of us. And she has one of those life alert things, right?
Tell the real story.
This is the real story. So
This doesn't sound as good as the one I was told.
what are you talking about?
You were playing video games, dude. And you couldn't play online because the internet was out.
I'm telling the story. You didn't even let me start the story.
Go.
Got it.
So she has a life alert thing. So it was out because the entire street was out of internet and phone. Mm-hmm. So now for me, I don't have a life alert. So that's not what I needed the internet for. I needed it for other reasons, entertainment. And so I'm upset about that. So I call the company and I tell them in a not as nice tone as I probably should have that they need to get the internet and phones back up because there are elderly people that live on this street that if they have a emergency, the life alert's not going to work, and that they didn't want that on their conscience.
Can you just hear him saying that?
Yes, and it wasn't in a civil tone like that.
No,
either,
it
I'm
wasn't.
sure.
It was very angry.
Yeah.
Poor guy. I really shouldn't have put him through that.
How quick did they come?
Oh, it didn't speed them up at all. This particular company's terrible. I mean, there's a monopoly in the area, so they kind of do it at their own pace.
Yeah.
And I'm sure some of those reps don't. They're like far
He
away.
wasn't even in America.
He was in the States, but he was in like Indiana or something. It
Yeah,
wasn't
but
close.
what was happening though is he was sitting there talking to Clay, but his internet was up, so he was playing Call of Duty with all
Probably-
his
yeah,
buddies,
he was
so he didn't
probably
care.
fine.
He didn't have an emergency.
He was
I
with
don't
his
even think they have, like, if they work there, they don't have their own service.
He was
Isn't
in
that
his
funny?
parents' basement playing Call
You
of
mean
Duty.
like Windstream?
They don't use Windstream.
They don't use Windstream at the Windstream.
They have some other service. That's the thing. Like,
They got Google Fiber like 10 years ago.
right. They're fine. They don't care.
That's funny.
Yeah.
That's funny.
But I mean, it does what that show. It's a humor story because it's just ridiculous. But it does show you how dependent we are.
Yeah, and this has nothing to do with that because it's what we do on this show.
We just
No segue or anything. Yeah, but my wife was listening to something on Facebook. Made some sense to me, so I'm going to try to talk through it. It was this doctor. It was a medical doctor, and she was talking about
Gut health.
No, transgenderism.
Okay.
Okay, and she was saying that male femaleness is biological. It's not psychological at all. Mm-hmm. It can't be. Mm-hmm. It's biological. So if you're born with male parts, and then you suddenly say, "Oh, I'm really a female," that's not possible because gender is biological. It's not psychological. Okay.
Okay.
She said, if someone comes into the doctor and says, "I need my leg cut off," I need my leg cut off, that there is a psychological term for that person and that they would be put on medication as a result of it.
Right.
To straighten out the way they think. But you can go in and say, "I want my boy part cut off," and
Parts.
It's not a psychological issue. It is now gender identification, and they will amputate it. And
You're a hero.
And you're a hero, right? So she was just simply making the statement that we're so out of whack with the way things work, and even medicine itself, that ideology.
Yeah.
This whole thought process of wow. And I've talked about this on here before. You know, if we can identify male or female the way we want to, why can't I identify other things the way I want to? And then, bless God, people just got to give it to me. So I want to make the statement right now. I'm self-identifying as a multi-billionaire.
Okay.
I want somebody to bring me the money right now. It's not fair if I have to live
You're so
not
heroic.
being a billionaire again.
You're so courageous.
I'm coming out as a multi-billionaire right now.
My gosh, you just inspire me.
But some of the things that we do in society, they're baffling because they
Yes.
don't
Yeah,
make
they are.
sense.
They are. And I'm telling you, I think what it comes back to is the platform. It's social media. It's the ability, it's the accessibility
Yes.
to have your own pulpit, to have your own platform, to have your own microphone.
Yes.
And which I'm thankful for because we wouldn't be sitting around at
Yeah, I was
my
about
desk
to say, hold on, man. Just be a little.
doing our own podcast that has no purpose really other than us airing out our stuff. But
I really think people want to hear what I have to say.
delusions of grandeur.
Woo! He's on it today.
It might be a mental condition. But no, I mean, that's the thing. Like, if people didn't have, because these ideas aren't new. Let's face it.
Yeah.
They're just able to be heard now. It's so easy for you to get these ideas and get these feelings out that you can start a quote unquote movement with a tweet. That
Yes.
wasn't possible 20 years ago.
Right.
And I think it ties back to the civility issue with politics. There's so much misinformation because any quack with a blog can post something, and then my uncle who posted this other stuff, he can get on there and read it and think it's real.
Yep.
And then he posts it again, and my aunt, who's not very intelligent either, she can repost it as well.
If you're in Randy's family, we're sorry he thinks so little.
I
of
didn't
you
say
guys.
which aunt. It could be like a great aunt, a great aunt, you know.
We know which aunt you're talking about.
They don't have
and
internet.
Auntie, you know what? You know he's talking about you.
But it does. There is a lot of ignorance, and that it's kind of nobody's fault, especially.
If you learn the wrong thing, here's a good discussion for right now.
Okay.
If you go on there and you're listening to these quacks that don't know what they're talking about and they're spewing ignorance, and you learn these things, and you take these things as gospel or as truth, and you begin to act on these things, are you acting out of ignorance? Or are you acting out, I mean, I know you're acting out of misinformation, but are we at the place where ignorance has become contagious?
I mean, I think it's always been contagious. Look back to the regime, the Nazi regime. The confessing church was the church that was against the Nazis, but the German church is what they called them. Hitler had them convinced that he was right.
Yeah.
And they were using biblical.
Yeah, and I think what it shows is it's just that it's able to be spread so much quicker.
Yeah.
Yes.
I mean,
It's like that,
I mean, Hitler
like
had
that
to
movie.
amass
It's
an
like
army. He had to go into
It's like
politics.
that movie Contagion.
Yeah,
Right. For sure.
But you know what? If Hitler could not go into power today like he did then,
no,
because somebody would have actually told the world he was short, and that would have turned people off.
right.
People would have pointed out the fact that, hey, you realize he's trying to create a blonde-haired, blue-eyed race, and he's neither.
You know I'm still going to go watch Mission Impossible 27, right?
Yeah, I
It's
know.
okay for people to be short.
Yeah.
Tom Cruise's.
But you know what I'm saying. I mean, it gives everybody a microphone, but it kind of does take power away from the few.
Like FDR. What would FDR?
Well, it has
What would
good.
that look like today? You know?
Right? Listen, I still say that media kept Bob Dole from being the president
Yeah,
because he was scary looking.
yeah.
People don't vote for scary,
I mean, it's
so he made ED commercials
You're too young
instead.
to remember that, aren't you?
yeah. I don't know what you're referring to.
You know what I'm talking about.
Yeah, that's what I just said. He made ED commercials instead.
That's not what I was
That's not
talking
what you're talking about. You're holding the pen, dude. I thought that's what you were
talking
talking about. Sorry.
about it. No.
But anyway. So
That's
anyway.
been the undertone lately.
But listen, here's the thing.
What's the thing?
We're at a place we've never been before.
Yeah,
Our society is at a place it's never been before.
for sure.
We can blame it on whatever. I'm going to make a correlation here that possibly what's happening.
Okay.
For years and years, farmers have been not genetically engineering, okay, because that's not actually, they're not genetically modifying anything. But they have been taking, let's use livestock. They've been taking livestock, and they have been breeding livestock up to a larger size. So what they do is they take the very largest female, they breed her to the largest male, produces large offspring.
Yes.
So then they take the largest of those with the largest, and they breed them together, and they're breeding these gigantic animals. Mm-hmm. But now what's happening is there is a groundswell because it's not natural. Everything that's been happening is not natural because it destroys pasture land, because the grass and the soil can't take the weight of these new gigantic animals that are out there walking. Mm-hmm. There's not enough land for them to be able to eat. So now what is happening is they are breeding the sizes back down because it's sustainable.
Right.
It reached a place of unsustainability, whatever that word is.
Sure.
No, that's the right word.
In or
Unsustainable.
Yeah, it reached a place of being unsustainable. So now they're naturalizing, and they're calling them mini cows or mini livestock, but literally all that's happening is they're returning them to the original size that they were before all the breeding up started. Mm-hmm. Possibly what could be happening in society right now is a natural correction in a market that was so far out of line, where we had this group of people, politicians, who had all this power. And they had this system that worked. And if you were born to the right people and your dad was a senator, you could be a senator.
Yeah.
And you have these people with all this power. And now what's happening is we realize we've bred up this giant monstrosity that is so hungry
It's not
and
sustainable.
so heavy that it's not sustainable. So now we're going to breed this thing back down. We're going to put the power back in the hands of the many.
Yeah.
We're going to redistribute all of this. I think that's what happened with Trump.
Yeah,
I
populism.
think it's what happened in New York. I think it's what's happening across the board. And I even though we're more fragmented and disjointed than we've ever been, it could just simply be a natural correction to society.
Well, it's funny you said that. I was going to say that earlier, that we were talking about the two parties being so polarized. And I've thought, well, that's the problem. There are two parties, and you're either one or you're the other, and you're so loyal to that's how you do. Even if you don't agree, and even if you should stand up for the right thing, you're still going to go with your party. And I've thought like that's the problem. You know, we need to get away from that. But
Yeah.
this is probably how it happens. Everything moves so far to the two ends that it becomes unstable, and then it breaks back out and becomes.
Then you have the purge.
We don't want to go to the purge.
No, we don't.
Because I can probably shoot better than all those people.
That would be terrible.
If you come to my house on purge night, I'm not going to go out looking for you, but if you come to my house, you better be ready to go. That's all I'm saying.
But I think you're right. I think it is a correction, and I think it's one of those things that gets worse before it gets better.
And here's another natural correction.
Because it's going to balloon and it's going to blow up.
I don't know if you guys have heard this, but another natural correction is, Khloe Kardashian. She had Tristan Thompson's baby.
Yeah.
3 days before she had the baby, Tristan was seen canoodling with another female in a nightclub. Caused a huge uproar. They Splitsville, the whole deal.
Sure.
Well, now she's come out on social media. They've decided to work through their differences for the good of their family. And Khloe and Tristan are back together again. So I just wanted the world to know another natural correction happened, and things are the way they should be.
Sounds like a money move to me.
He knows the most absolutely ridiculous pop culture things, doesn't he?
What could be a natural correction is you see this thing about the earthquake. On so the San Andreas Fault, right, is due for like another over 7 magnitude earthquake in like the next 30 years. Like the last one was like 1906 or something, and it wiped out 80% of San Francisco.
Yeah.
Well, so there's another one coming in like the next 30 years, apparently.
Did you guys read that there's a super volcano under New England?
No.
Yes.
I did.
I did see
And
that
listen,
one.
dude, I'm talking about, they're like super volcano. It was like super volcano
Wow.
under New England. It was like, whoa, and you read it and it's like molten rock is creeping up towards the surface and building pressure.
Right.
And then it said, and this could happen as soon as 50 million years. Like, what? You writing a news story about what might happen in 50 million years on the short side of things?
Yeah. A matter of time in this context means tens of millions of years.
Yeah. Like, what?
30 is at least a little scarier.
30 million?
No, 30 years.
30 years.
Because that
yeah.
earthquake's supposed to happen in the next 30 years.
Yeah, I'm not going to be alive then, but yeah, probably.
Why not?
I don't want to be.
Gosh, that's a morbid view.
Hope none of your
30
family's listening.
Yeah, 30 years, you won't even be that old.
I'll be 75.
That's not old.
If the amount of pain in my body continues to increase proportionally the way it has over the last 4 or 5 years, I do not want to try to function as a 75-year-old. I know that beyond a shadow of a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm out of here, man.
So you don't want the 120.
I don't think Jesus is going to wait that long. But this is not an end time podcast, so
I mean not. So you don't want the 120.
no, not really. Mm-mm.
You know, the last person that lived over 120 died in 1997.
Really?
She was French.
Not Okinawan. Okinawans live a long time.
And she was 122, and then no one's lived over 119 since then.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, my grandma lived, she was 98.
Yeah, that's a long time.
Yeah, and she saw like horse and buggy
Yeah,
all the way to possibly man on the moon, whether you buy into that or not.
yeah. That's a huge thing. I mean, if you think about it, if you were 100 right now, you saw like the tail end of World War I and the iPhone 10.
Yeah.
That's ridiculous. That's a long time.
That's a long time.
You went from smoke signals to FaceTime, baby.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's serious business right there.
It is.
You went from a cappella hymns to Hillsong United.
Young and free.
Young and
You got
free.
all the way to young and free.
Yeah, techno dance worship. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know if I would want that much either. I don't want to go 120.
No.
I don't think I
mean,
can handle the pressure. It's like Wolverine. Remember Wolverine lived through all those wars and stuff?
He died recently.
Yeah.
He's gone.
Hugh
But he's coming
Jackman?
back. No. Well, not Hugh Jackman, the actual Wolverine.
Spoiler
Oh,
alert.
sorry. You got me confused.
I mean, he didn't like...
he
well,
died?
Yeah, in the comic book he died, but now they're bringing him back again.
In the
Died in
comic
the movie,
book?
too.
What?
Well, that was like an alternate universe. Old Man Logan was.
What are y'all talking? Y'all are killing me.
It's an alternate universe.
You didn't see Logan.
Who's
What?
Logan?
You're crazy, Shane. That's
Wolverine.
an amazing.
Oh, that's
movie.
Wolverine's name is Logan.
Yeah, the movie
Okay.
is called Logan, though. It's the
I'm
last one.
starting
I didn't
to
see it.
figure out what Shane does not like. Any movie
That's
That's
not
not-
feminine.
that like develops just like
If it has character development, he's out. Like, he
Yeah.
wants
Did
action.
Did you see Crossroads with Britney Spears?
He's saying no.
He has to. Don't act like that, Shane. You know you sang along.
no Shane like
You got the sing along. Do you have the sing along version DVD of High School Musical?
no, but he did.
What about 2?
No, Hugh Jackman. Speaking of Hugh Jackman,
Greatest Showman, yeah.
Greatest Showman. Shane went to the sing along for that, didn't you, Shane?
I would go to the Greatest Showman sing along.
I haven't seen that one.
No, I skipped it too. Hugh Jackman cannot sing.
No, but it was a great movie. He can't sing a lick, but it was a great movie.
Look, I think we've had a provoking discussion.
You provoked me early on, then I calmed down.
Yeah. That's my intent, usually. Well, really, we brought Randy on, so he would do that for you. Y'all are supposed to... Y'all
Randy-
agreed a lot today.
Randy talked more today than he's talked on any podcast I've been on.
Yeah.
To be honest with you, I've been like I told him earlier. I was really sleepy last time we've been here.
I'm
We were
pretty tired
here.
today, though.
I was like super tired last time. I'm sitting over here like trying to stay awake. I'm okay today.
But it was a good show. Thanks for talking, Chief.
Yeah, no problem.
Boss, thanks for being here.
Nothing
Thanks
came
for
in
the-
online today.
Goodbye.
Not really.
No questions for me came in
I
online.
got my seminary transcript.
No questions.
All I got was a Master of Arts.
Listen, if you want to join the conversation, you can join live on Spreaker every Wednesday at 2 p.m. Look, the Chief wants your questions. He's very disappointed when you don't ask him things. He likes to shoot from the hip and answer yourself live on the podcast. So shoot us some questions. If you got some topics or stories you'd like to talk about, we'll break it down for you. Just shoot us a link, and we will consider it for the next show. If you're listening later on iTunes, Apple Podcasts, Google Play, Spreaker, wherever you're listening, TuneIn Radio, Stitcher, Amazon, SoundCloud, YouTube. There's so many. iHeartRadio, shout out to you guys. If you're listening later, leave us a review, leave us a comment. It really helps us out if you share the episode as well. You can catch us next week right here on Spreaker. We appreciate you. This has been Third Thoughts. We'll see you next time.
Don't forget, StewartFamily.farm on the Instagram.